Today, a look into the impact of Obamacare in the state of Florida and how the governor has sought to undermine its implementation. Plus, the recent developments with the Marissa Alexander's case. She has been granted a retrial, and what are our legislators doing about the Stand Your Ground law? With us today is our state senator, Geraldine Thompson, along with our political roundtable, Jasmine Burney, Jason Henry, and Coy Jones. This is The Bottom Line with Temia Brinson. Good morning and welcome to The Bottom Line with Temia Brinson. Today we're going to talk about Obamacare. And in the state of Florida, there's a big fight between our state legislators with Obamacare and Medicaid expansion and whether we're going to fund it or not. So up next is our state senator, Geraldine Thompson, with her interview right after these messages.
The Urban League is the premier national civil rights and urban advocacy organization, helping people get into college, find jobs, and get access to affordable housing and healthcare services in 95 cities. Under the leadership of Mark Morial for the past decade, the Urban League has served over 10 million people and redefined the civil rights for the 21st century. Together, we are empowering communities and changing lives. Get involved. Go to NUL.org to find the Urban League nearest you.
There is an unprecedented attack on our voting rights. More than 30 states have measures to eliminate early voting, restrict voter registration, bar formerly incarcerated people from voting, and adding photo ID requirements that will shut out an estimated 21 million Americans. Many sacrifice for our right to vote. We cannot allow it to be taken away. This is my vote. This is our vote. Visit NAACP.org to help overturn these laws and register millions of new voters.
Rejoice Magazine introduces Javis Mays and Restoration's Oil of Worship Live CD, featuring hit songs like Freedom and Choose to Worship. To purchase this CD for only $12.99, go to rejoicemagazine.net, click the online store page, and get your copy today.
Ladies, I want to welcome you to the Pretty in Pink Women's Conference, November the 7th through the 10th, 2013. Women of Power, Praise, and Purpose. You don't want to miss this event. Our guest speakers include Bishop Robin E. Franklin, Pastor Genevieve Salter, and yours truly will minister on that Friday night. You do not want to miss this event. Meet me at the Pretty in Pink, November 7th through the 10th, 2013. Looking forward to seeing you there. God bless you.
I think it's very important for young people to have mentors. Not all children have other adults in their lives who they can talk to and share experiences with.
A mentor can help a child by guiding him in the right direction.
By having a mentor, a young person can make stronger, better, more critical choices and decisions, and that can shape them for the rest of their life. There's no question a mentor can make a difference in a child's life.
Mentoring works.
Become a mentor.
All right, we are back, and here's my exclusive interview with State Senator Geraldine Thompson. What's the next step concerning Medicaid expansion in the state of Florida? Recently, the governor had a change of heart because at first he was against it. Then he came out and said he's for it as long as there is a waiver. And so far as I know, that both the House and the Senate the committees rejected funds. So what's the next step concerning Medicaid expansion?
Well, the federal government has told the state of Florida that it's not too late. We had a deadline, but the deadline has been extended. So we still have an opportunity to expand Medicaid to cover 1.2 million people in the state of Florida who are uninsured. Right now, if you make $19,000 a year and you have a family of 3, you qualify for Medicaid. But if you make $25,000 a year with the same family of 3, you do not qualify. So what we're trying to do is to get coverage to those people who are in the gap, because we're still talking about low-income people who are working. Many of them make the beds in the hotels, and they sweep the sidewalks at the theme parks. They prepare food, they serve food. So they make a little too much to qualify for Medicaid, but they don't make enough to pay for health care. And so through the exchange and with the $51 billion that the federal government has made available to the state of Florida, they will cover the cost of expanding Medicaid for the first 3 years totally. And after 3 years, the federal government will cover 90% of the cost. The position that the Senate took, we, those of us in the Senate, did vote in fact to accept the money from the federal government, but it was the House that said, no, we don't want to accept federal funds to expand Medicaid and then find ourselves in a position where we can't sustain a system that we have expanded. We don't want federal funds, but the fact is that it's not the federal government's money, it's our money. It's money that we have sent to the federal government. We do it every April 15th when we send our taxes to IRS. So it's making a one-way trip. And this is an opportunity for us to recoup and get back some of those dollars. Many other states have accepted those funds. So Florida is now a donor for other states. So we still have an opportunity.
Okay, now I did a little research and it appears that the House is working on their own proposal to accept the funds, but towards healthy kids as opposed to overall Medicaid. And it's not a guarantee that Obama administration is going to accept this proposal.
That's absolutely
So what
right.
is the resolution between the House and the Senate?
I think more people need to contact the representatives in the Florida House and let them know that this is important, particularly people who live in the districts where the representatives live. Let them know we vote for you, and we can vote for you or not vote for you, because they are playing political games at the expense of poor working people in the state of Florida.
Now, stand your ground. There seems to be a double standard with this law in the investigative process and the trial process and then also in the jury instructions. For example, the Marissa Alexander case, she's been granted a retrial based on the appellate court came back and said that the instructions for self-defense were erroneous. But on the other hand, in the Zimmerman trial, he, as you know, he waived his right to use the stand your ground law. However, instructions were given concerning stand your ground law in the jury instructions. So, is there a double standard with this law? And also, what is being done about the law itself?
Well, Stand Your Ground clearly came into play with Florida versus Zimmerman. Stand Your Ground allows you to be immune from prosecution, which means you can't be detained, you can't be questioned, you can't be incarcerated. And that's how George Zimmerman was allowed to go home the same night that he shot Trayvon Martin. So later, they said, well, no, it's not Stand Your Ground, it's now self-defense. But Stand Your Ground came into play with the whole trial. And there are many of us in the legislature who are very concerned about how broad the law is. And there are people, I have filed a bill, Senate Bill 116, to repeal Stand Your Ground. I think we need to start at ground zero, get public input, get testimony from citizens, bring in law enforcement, bring in members of the judiciary, and come up with a law that makes a lot more sense. Provocation, I think, has to enter into it. You should not be able to provoke an altercation. You target someone, you follow them, you confront them, and you provoke an altercation, and then say you were in fear of your life, and therefore you use deadly force. I mean, even children understand fairness. When you find children, they're fighting, they'll say, he started it, so they understand provocation. So we have to look at the whole issue of provocation, and we also have to look at the issue of imminent danger. Imminent danger means something that is very clearly a threat to your life, and it's very close to happening. In this situation, you have someone on the other side of a community walking in the rain, bothering no one, going home. How is that an imminent danger to someone? The neighborhood watch person, Zimmerman, was told not to follow, but he followed. Then he says he's fearful. If you're fearful, you don't take yourself into harm's way. You don't take yourself to a fight and then claim I was in fear of grave bodily harm. So I have filed a bill to repeal it. A colleague of mine, Senator Chris Smith, has filed a bill to amend it.
Okay.
He would take out the immunity part, which would allow law enforcement to do their job, to make an arrest, to conduct a thorough investigation, and then if it's warranted, to release that person. But right now, the law ties the hands of law enforcement. The other part of it is that there's also immunity from civil action. So in terms of George Zimmerman being found not guilty in a criminal trial, he's immune from civil action. We saw with O.J. Simpson, there was a criminal trial and then a civil trial. So it's a law that allows people to shoot first and ask questions later. And I'm hearing from organizations, I'm hearing from individuals throughout the nation that they don't feel safe coming to the state of Florida. And our whole economy is grounded in tourism. So we have got to have a law that lets people know, yes, you can come to Florida. Yes, our laws are going to protect you. And we don't encourage vigilantism. This is not the Wild Wild West, and you shoot because you think that someone doesn't belong in a particular area. We have people, for example, who adopt African American children, and they are not African American. They can be Caucasians, Asians, whatever, and they live anywhere they want to live. So how do you look at someone and say, this person doesn't belong in this neighborhood, and therefore they are suspicious? So there's a problem with the law, and we need to tighten it up.
Now, you just came back from Tallahassee.
I did.
In the committees. And what is the feeling in Tallahassee? Do you feel that there's support for either an amendment or repeal? How does it look?
One of the authors of the bill, Senator David Simmons, is saying that he believes that there is room to tighten it up. There is room to amend the law. So I think that that's something that will be considered and will be discussed.
Okay. Well, thank you. I really appreciate it.
You're very welcome.
Okay.
Rejoice Magazine introduces Javis Mays and Restoration's Oil of Worship Live CD, featuring hit songs like Freedom, and Choose to Worship. To purchase this CD for only $12.99, go to rejoicemagazine.net, click the online store page, and get your copy today.
I think it's very important for young people to have mentors. Not all children have other adults in their lives who they can talk to and share experiences with.
A mentor can help a child by guiding him in the right direction.
By having a mentor, a young person can make stronger, better, more critical choices and decisions, and that can shape them for the rest of their life. There's no question a mentor can make a difference in a child's life.
Mentoring works.
Become a mentor.
If I got to go to college, oh my goodness. I like discovering new things. You get to see what works for you and what doesn't. That helps you evolve as a person. You get to make like a supernova of skill or talent or whatever it is. I've always wanted to go to college. I just feel like that's my destiny. My name is Queen, and I am your dividend.
The time for empowerment is now. That's why the National Urban League has developed the Opportunity Compact. It's our response to reducing the economic gap in this nation. Everyone deserves to thrive, earn, own, and prosper through youth, housing, job, and entrepreneurial programs. So what do you need to do? Log on to NUL.org. Learn more about the Opportunity Compact and the National Urban League. Get involved. It's time.
The National Urban League. There is an unprecedented attack on our voting rights. More than 30 states have measures to eliminate early voting, restrict voter registration, bar formerly incarcerated people from voting, and adding photo ID requirements that will shut out an estimated 21 million Americans. Many sacrifice for our right to vote. We cannot allow it to be taken away. This is my vote. This is our vote. Visit NAACP.org to help overturn these laws and register millions of new voters.
Up next, our political roundtable after these messages.
The Urban League is the premier national civil rights and urban advocacy organization, helping people get into college, find jobs, and get access to affordable housing and healthcare services in 95 cities. Under the leadership of Mark Morial for the past decade, the Urban League has served over 10 million people and redefined the civil rights for the 21st century. Together, we are empowering communities and changing lives. Get involved. Go to NUL.org to find the Urban League nearest you.
Ladies, I want to welcome you to the Pretty in Pink Women's Conference, November the 7th through the 10th, 2013. Women of Power, Praise, and Purpose. You don't want to miss this event. Our guest speakers include Bishop Robin E. Franklin, Pastor Genevieve Salter, and yours truly will minister on that Friday night. You do not want to miss this event. Meet me at the Pretty in Pink, November 7th through the 10th, 2013. Looking forward to seeing you there. God bless you.
If I got to go to college, oh my goodness. I like discovering new things. You get to see what works for you and what doesn't. That helps you evolve as a person. You get to make like a supernova of skill or talent or whatever it is. I've always wanted to go to college. I just feel like that's my destiny. My name is Queen, and I am your dividend.
Coy, the GOP seems to be playing partisan politics with the Medicaid expansion. What do you think will be the climate, or should I say, is it the right climate, or do you think it's going to pass and we will eventually accept funds for Medicaid expansion?
Well, we do have a total of 3 years to actually pass Medicaid expansion. As you know, we were unsuccessful last year with the House. The Senate did create a version of the bill which was very similar to what many organizations call Florida Team, who worked together to move this legislation forward. Did not pass in the House, but it did pass a version of it in the Senate. And I think Senator Negron is healthy first family, something close to that. The bill was very similar to the things that we wanted, however, we were unsuccessful. So here we are going into our following session, 2013 session, and I feel good about it. I've had a lot of lobby visits, spoken to a lot of legislators, both Republican and Democratic, who feel like this may be the time. And it could be because we have an election coming up, and a lot of folks are worried about being reelected because there's a lot of good people that are out there that are calling attention to the injustices of many of the legislators who did not support Medicaid expansion. Few of them are, a couple of which are Representative David Santiago out in DeLand and Representative Michael LaRosa out in St. Cloud, two freshmen, Republican House of Representatives, met with both of them and were not supportive of the bill, and were polite enough to say that it didn't make sense for Floridians, but how could not covering 1.2 million Floridians not be sensible or not make sense?
Okay, so they're not supporting it. So Jason, what do you think will happen with the GOP with this game that they're playing? Because as you heard Coy say, that they're just not going to support it at all. Seem to be closed mind. And do you think the GOP will get a backlash because of that?
I think you just basically answered the question. They're closed-minded. They're driving the conversation on irrelevance. We could just keep going with this. I mean, the only time anything seems right for them is when we're talking about going into an election year. So the climate is never right for anything for them, especially if it's driven by a Democrat, especially if it's driven by President Obama. We're talking about insuring over 1 million Floridians who do not have health insurance. Why does that have to fall along political lines? It shouldn't. So we're talking about a political party that is straddling the line of being irrelevant.
So is there any reason that they gave why they're not supportive?
Well, they seem to think that hardworking people should be able to pay healthcare insurance. They think that I work with healthcare workers, many of which who make $7 to $8 an hour, and are asked to pay $2,000 deductibles, $3,500 deductibles, $7,000 deductibles for families, and we meet with these guys and we tell them these stories, and they still think that one response was, well, why are they working for them? I mean, well, this is their job. This is their livelihood. So you suggest that these workers stop working for these people just so they can find another job to get healthcare insurance that they can afford?
How about they create a program where we could give them better paying jobs instead of giving these type of lame excuses?
Exactly.
So Jasmine, do you think that what Coy is stating is actually, what it is at face value, that they really believe that people should just work for their insurance? Is this a matter of moral conviction, or is this just politics on its face?
I think that they are convicted by their political party. Anything that our president does, any federal funding that comes here in the state of Florida, they are going to deny. They don't want to support his mission. They don't want to support anything that comes from the federal government. We've seen the same thing happen with funds for Sunrail. Like Senator Thompson said, we are becoming a donor for other states to take funds out of the state. And it's very clear that people are in need of these types of things. They can't quit their job if that's the only resource that's available for them. It just doesn't make sense. So they are more so convicted by their political party, making sure that they are reelected, making sure that their campaigns are funded, and that they can retain their seats in the upcoming elections.
So now what happens with the funds if the state of Florida don't accept?
They go to other states.
And we actually lose $1 million starting January 1st.
January 1st.
Yep.
So you have these ideologues who rather send money to other states, who rather, see Florida, slip into political irrelevancy, who rather us lose money instead of insuring over 1 million Floridians. These are the people that we're putting in office. Okay. So more than anything, what the senator said about calling your representatives, if you're in that district, make sure you're on your representative to accept these funds.
I have a phone number I would love to share with your folks.
Please share.
Yes. So we have a phone number that has been running now since January, where when you call it up, you call, it asks you for your zip code, and it directs you immediately to your legislator in your district. The number is 1-866-443-1233. 1-844. I'm going to say it again. 1-866-443-1844. And you can definitely talk to folks like Michael LaRosa and David Santiago and ask them, why won't you accept the federal funds to make sure 1.2 million people get health care coverage?
And why won't they accept it when these state legislators have health care insurance?
Paid by us.
Paid by us at very minimal cost to them.
If it was President Romney, they would have accepted it.
Exactly.
Oh my goodness. Well, it looks like the state of Florida have their work cut out for them. And I thank you very much for chiming in on the conversation.
Thank you.
Absolutely.